Hi, Dr. P here to conduct a thought exercise. How would some classic games fare if they were released today? The usual caveat, the slides are very wordy. For those who have impaired hearing or still learning English, I expect most people will listen to this screencast rather than watch it. Games succeed or fail for many reasons other than it's a great game. And great games are relative anyway. One person's great game is another person's garbage pile. Those reasons can be timing, appearance, habit, and more. Also, game tastes change over time. Contemporary players do not like the same kind of games that many hobby gamers liked 50 years ago. And it was different again 100 years ago. Some games survive those changes in taste, some don't, and for various reasons. So, my objective here, and there'll be two parts to this, is to consider how classic games would fare if they were released for the first time as commercial games right now, September 2016. There's no way to know this, of course, but I can present some reasons for my evaluation, and that might help people who are designing games today. Here are the titles I'm going to consider. Some of them are very old. Some of them are from the 20th century. There's nothing from the 21st century. Chess is the first one to consider. It's the obvious one. Chess benefits from the publication of centuries of study. That's also the curse of chess. It makes it more crunchy. That is, there's a large barrier to entry because of all that study and writing about the game. One person can be naturally good at chess and play somebody who is not so naturally good but has done a lot of studying, and the person who's done a lot of studying will tend to prevail. The famous American chess world champion Bobby Fischer wanted to use his variant instead of normal chess so that players would have to actually think rather than memorize, even though Fischer was one of the greatest at having memorized various lines of play. And his variant was to scramble the back row of pieces and do that identically for both players each time you played the game. That's officially called chess 960 because there are 960 possible combinations. To have 960 different combinations would lift the burden of those years of study and of course also present analysts with a far larger set of problems to write about. It would have been good for everybody, but games of any kind, especially games that become sports, tend to have a great deal of inertia. People don't want to change, even when they can see that it might be a benefit. So, how would chess do as a commercial game? Well, number one, it's much too long. Even with chess clocks, it can take a long time, and chess clocks are not practical for a commercial game. Two, it's severely imbalanced. White wins far more than black. Three, there are far too many draws, which for Americans who've gradually removed draws from American football and ice hockey is anathema. Americans do not like draws. Fourth, it very much encourages analysis paralysis, hence the clocks. I think it would quickly disappear in the current climate and it would get a lot of criticism in doing so, or at best it would become a niche product in the current climate. On the other hand, chess-like is an adjective that we sometimes apply to games other than chess. Now this type of game, a chess-like game, is less popular than in the past for many reasons. Nonetheless, I'm going to talk about the characteristics of chess-like games. One, they are games of maneuver and geospatial relationships. Board games, and where pieces are in relation to each other is important, and pieces get moved around, or placed sometimes, as in Go. It's also a game where interaction with the other players is very strong. You have to react to every move of the opponent. If you don't, you're probably going to lose. There are some less important characteristics as well. 3 is no random elements. 4 is a game for 2 players. 5 is no hidden information. But we have games that are called chess-like that don't have all those elements. For example, the old Avalon Hill games like Stalingrad were called chess-like despite using dice for combat resolution. so they had random elements. Stratego could be called chess-like despite the hidden information. Of course, even Stratego is a game that derives from L'Attaque, which was patented in 1909. Britannia has been called chess-like even though it's for 4 players. And of course it has random elements as well. It's certainly a planner's game, and chess and games like chess-like games, tend to be planners' games. Well, how about checkers, drafts? It's kind of a minor league chess. It's much simpler in the rules. In fact, it's hard to find a simpler board game. There's a considerable literature here too. It's also a longish game, subject to analysis paralysis. On the other hand, it also has been brute force solved by a computer program called Chinook, which has every possible position on the chessboard and what move is most likely to lead to a victory. That's not the same as being a perfect player, but it's pretty close. So checkers, like chess, is actually a puzzle that can be solved. It's just that checkers is a simpler game and it's already been more or less solved, and chess has not, although chess playing computers tend to be better than the best human players. And we'll talk more about this in part 2.